All right, I'm going to call to order the meeting of May 7th, 2024 of the Swanton Selectboard. I'd like to start out with a pledge of allegiance, please. If folks should please rise and join us. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll start with agenda review. Kathy?
I'm good, thank you.
Nicole?
I'm all set, thank you.
For me, under Highway Department, I'm normally going to do the report at the end of the month. It showed up again at the beginning here, but unless you have specific questions, I'll try to answer it, but I'll just do the report once a month at the end of the month. Cody?
Nope, you good?
Keith? Brian?
Okay, under old business, item D, Community Center Update from Recreation Committee, that's not ready to be done yet. So
Okay.
that will be removed from the agenda. And then under other necessary business, there was a vacancy on the rec committee. And Betsy, the chair of the rec committee, has forwarded a name for consideration this evening. It's in your packet, so that'd be under other business, other necessary business. That's all I have.
Okay. We will start with the minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes. Regular select board meeting, April 16th, 2024. We had 2 special meetings, one on April 26th. That's because our assistant town clerk will be leaving us, so we had to meet and set a pay range for any new member that we bring on board. Then we had another special select board meeting on 1 May 2024, and that was to help out a local business get approval of a license.
I'd make a motion we accept all 3 of those minutes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept those 3 sets of minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
I'll say aye for 2, but I abstain on the 3rd because I wasn't there.
Okay. Ayes have it. Moving on to public comments. This is where we open this up to anybody who wants to speak on a topic that is not part of our agenda. 2 things I just want to mention, and then I'll check with the crowd here, is Green Up Day. I just want to put out a thanks to all the folks who have participated in Green Up Day. There are a lot of bags on the side of the road, and I know several people participated, and that's always a great thing, cleaning the area up. It'd be a lot nicer if people would keep the trash in their vehicles, but I know that's not always going to happen. And then I want to put in another plug for Memorial Day Parade, 2 p.m. on the 27th, and if people are interested in having a float or some other participation in it, you can get hold of me or Adam Paxman. Now, anybody else have anything under public comment? Hearing none, we'll go into law enforcement. Police Chief, good evening.
Good evening.
How are we doing this evening?
Doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good evening. Good evening.
Did everybody sign in?
Warmer weather, we have more people out and about.
Definitely. That first day was a noticeable increase in call volume for us. So looking at the summary for April, I'm sorry, April. We had 120 incidents. There were 4, out of those 120 incidents, the top 10 incident types were 61 directed patrols, 14 traffic stops, 7 motor vehicle complaints, 6 suspicious persons, 5 welfare checks, 3 community outreach, 3 agency assists, and then 2 death investigations, 2 property watches, and 2 unlawful mischief complaints. Out of those 14 traffic stops, 3 tickets were issued, 11 warnings, and there were 0 arrests this month. Looking at the additional services, which you'll also find attached to this, I broke that out. There were 15.25 hours of additional services in April. There was an ask regarding speed on St. Albans Road. So we had the speed trailer out on St. Albans Road from April 12th until April 30th, and in some, there was a problem with speed. So you'll see here that it's broken out that out of 41,338 vehicles measured, and the trailer was set up by the stump dump, right as you're coming into town before the bridge. Was where the trailer was picking up these vehicles. So 41,338 vehicles were measured. Out of those, the speed limit is 40 in that area. 35,890 vehicles were above the speed limit. In the 41 to 50 mile per hour range, there were 27,809, which is roughly 67% of the vehicles measured. In the 51 to 60 range, there were 7,587, which is 18%. In the 61 to 70 mile per hour range, there were 453 vehicles measured, which is 1.1%. In the 71 to 80 mile per hour range, there were 37 vehicles measured, which is 0.09%. And in the 81 to 90 mile per hour range, there were 4 vehicles measured, which is 0.0097%. Interestingly, those 4 vehicles seem to be more or less corresponding with vacation week, and kind of odd hours, twice at 4 p.m., once at 8 p.m., and once at 11 p.m.
I got a quick question on that. What's the accuracy with like motorcycles with that trailer going through there?
It should be good because it's radar.
Okay.
So my guess is it probably is motorcycles that are hitting those speeds in that area because it's so easy to accelerate quickly.
Yeah.
But it should be pretty good because radar is a cone, so it's picking up the strongest signal within that cone of radar. So just then, and then the bottom section there, it's broken out during contract hours for you. So in that 81 to 90 mile per hour range, all 4 of those vehicles occurred during contract hours. In the 71 to 80 mile per hour range, there were 12 vehicles, which is 32% of the vehicles measured above that speed. And then there were, in the 61 to 70 mile per hour range, there were 146 vehicles, which is 32% again of the total vehicles measured in that range. And then in the 51 to 60 mile per hour range, there were 2,402, which again is 32%, which kind of is essentially a third, which makes sense. So there is that. You'll see the tickets that are page is regular, and then after the tickets page, there is a breakout of the additional services, which consisted of 11 directed patrols. I'm asking officers to punch directed patrol cards to just document what they're doing, and then it's additionally broken out into 3 community outreach, 3 traffic stops, and 3 information reports, with a list then of those incidents. And then on the back side of that, you will find the speed trailer data with a couple graphs, which are informative.
Keith, I just had a question. It was up for 18 days. As you got closer to the end, did you see the traffic slowing down a little bit as people got used to that thing being there?
I would have to go back because it is broken out by date, so I would have to go back and see. I mean, I took a pretty deep dive into it for several hours to try to break this out the way I did.
I'm just curious if they got used to it, they'd start slowing down a little bit.
But I didn't really look at that comparison specifically to see whether it waned towards the end of the
I don't
period.
need to know that, I just had a question.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with the speed trailer is, again, you get some people who they see it there and then they want to see
Oh yeah, it's like
what kind of speed they can get on the speed trailer. But in any case, I've put out to the officers, I mean, clearly it's a great tool because we can measure exactly what's going on, see when it's occurring, and then we can try to address the issue if there is an issue. So the officers, I've asked them to get out there early because I want to say that a lot of the speeds were, again, you can see the hour range, but a lot of them were really during commuting hours. It was either early in the morning or during the return commute home. So I've asked them to get out first thing, 4 o'clock, get out there and hammer traffic on St. Albans Road.
Awesome.
Good.
So that's my expectation. We did have a rash of vandalisms on Quam Shore and a couple other roads, St. Albans Road, mailboxes were getting destroyed. We have resolved that case. People have been cited. They are juveniles who were associated with the vandalisms, but multiple vandalisms with a lot of property damage. But that has been resolved. And then I just wanted to also address today from the United States Attorney's Office regarding the homicide that occurred on 45 First Street shortly after I started in February of 2022. This was, if I remember correctly. The United States Attorney's Office put out this press release that Dominic Troop 37 of Colchester, Vermont was convicted following a 6-day jury trial in the United States District Court in Rutland of drug, gun, and robbery offenses. Troop, who was arrested in September of 2022, remains in custody of the United States Marshal Service pending post-trial proceedings. According to court records and evidence presented at trial, by at least July of 2021, Troop was a source of cocaine base, also known as crack cocaine, to residents of Swanton, Vermont, with whom he conspired to distribute the drug. During the second half of 2021, Troop maintained a consistent crack cocaine distribution operation in the Swanton area. In January of 2022, however, a rival distributor of crack cocaine moved into the residence at 45 First Street in Swanton, resulting in a significant diminution in Troop's sales. To address this problem, 2 of Troop's Swanton-based redistributors came up with the idea to rob the rival drug dealer of his drugs and money. When Troop learned of this idea, he turned it into reality. Trial evidence showed that during the early morning of February 2nd, 2022, Troop employed one of the Swanton-based distributors, as well as another of Troop's associates, to attempt the armed robbery at 45 First Street. Troop supplied a firearm to one of the robbers to use during the crime. Tragically, during the attempted armed robbery, Elijah Oliver, 22, of Massachusetts, was shot twice and killed. Based on the jury's verdict, Troop faces a mandatory minimum of 15 years of imprisonment and a potential maximum sentence of life. The ultimate sentence will be determined by reference to the sentencing guidelines and statutory sentencing factors at a later date, but you can find this on the United States Attorney's Office website if you want to read it in its entirety. I just wanted to provide that update.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah.
I got a question on the additional services as part of that new contract. Is that some of the additional services that we talked about, where like
Yes.
once a week we might go put a couple hours on the road where the buses are going or something like
Yes.
that?
Yeah, so we've been doing a few different things, mainly, although it's spread out a little bit. But so far, what we've been doing is I've been monitoring speed on Grand Avenue. Also, we've been monitoring 4th Street across from the elementary school. When the buses come out, we've occasionally followed the buses to see if there are any violations. This is generally at the end of the day, although Officer Cooper has been getting out early also and engaging in directed patrol details related to school safety. And then we've also followed buses up North River as well, looking for violations. And then we're trying to get out and monitoring the high school also in the activity, because when high school is out, we receive complaints about the speeding out of the back exit onto the frontage road and that sort of thing. So yes, these are all related to additional services, and I'm able to pull them out. So this data was specifically flagged as additional services now, so I'm able to pull that right out of the system.
Okay, and I know like up on Bushy Road and Highgate Road are a couple areas, like to see, a couple hours up there, so during the bus time frame.
Yeah, when we drive, when I personally have followed
Okay.
buses, I'm right up Woods Hill into the Bushy
Okay,
area. I mean,
yeah.
we'll generally stick with a bus and follow it and see, so we're able to monitor what the traffic surrounding that bus is doing, whether anybody violates the stop sign. When the bus puts the stop sign on and is letting kids off the bus. So we're generally sticking with those buses as they traverse their route.
Okay, thank you.
You seem to have some graffiti one morning. We were surprised, I think it was all in the village,
Mm-hmm.
some buildings, and some rather nasty stuff on 2nd Street on the road. Have you figured out who is responsible for that?
No. So it's pretty interesting in that it's seems very specific. Graffiti was very specific to a Crip sect out of Los Angeles, and there are some locals with some social media the same references. Out of one in particular who's out of St. Albans, who's a person of interest. Interestingly, Burlington had the exact same graffiti go through there a few days afterwards, and it looks like the same handwriting. They did capture images of 2 individuals associated with that graffiti that were completely masked up. I mean, you couldn't see anything other than just there was a very little portion of their eyes. So we do have leads, but we haven't resolved it yet. But it is a little peculiar that it was so specific to this Crip sect out of Los Angeles.
Thank you.
And that's what the numbers, because if you saw the graffiti, there were numbers, and
Yeah.
it's specific code associated with that.
What, do we have any idea why, as opposed to just spraying something else? or-
No idea why. It is strange.
Okay. One thing, well, we got the fire chief here, just a shout out for how quickly they covered all that up the next day.
Yeah.
That was very impressive, and
Yeah.
Spray
big thank
over,
you.
and, good job.
Yeah, the VFW got hit too, and they
Yeah.
painted that
Yeah.
whole wall right there by 1:45 that afternoon. It's all covered up.
Yeah, that was-
We did have another graffiti incident last night in Marble Mill, which we've made an arrest on.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
So I know Public Works spent a lot of time and energy
Yeah.
cleaning that up and painting it, and unfortunately it was tagged again.
The one on Second Street was really bad news, but they covered up most of it, and there was some initials or letters. Is that part of the Crip group?
It is, yeah, it's like AA or something like
This
that,
was
which
like a
is.
CB or, I forgot what it was.
There's a few, I mean, there's a lot of numerics also
Sure.
associated with it that are
Well, it
specific
was
to
covered
the
up.
script section.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, all set?
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Chief,
Health report?
We do not have a report report.
Yeah, I didn't see one in the packet.
That's just next month.
Okay, then we'll move on to item 4. I already explained about the highway department report. I will do a detailed one at the next meeting. 4B, open bids received for the 2024 paving. We received 3.
Correct. Do the honor.
Well, why don't we hand one to each of the other board members and we'll let them open it up.
We received bids from Pike Industries. We got Rutherford Paving and FW Whitcomb.
Thanks. Look over your shoulder. I think what we can probably do if there, this looks like also the per ton cost is the same. Is we can read out the per ton cost and then the total cost for each of one of them.
each street.
Or no, just for the,
Just a total.
just for the total. But, does that one have the per ton cost the same as well? Okay. We'll start with, you have,
Yes, it is.
right there's the
Yeah.
per ton cost, and this is FW Whitcomb.
This has broken out.
Well, can I take a quick peek at that one, Steve? Yeah, so this would be the, so we're consistent, we read the per ton cost, total project cost, and the ACC cost. Now we'll start with Whitcomb.
So Frank W. Whitcomb Construction Corporation, $94 per ton, at a grand total for the work for $522,170. And with the asphalt cement costs at $623 a ton, which is the May 2024 index.
What was the per ton again, 90 what?
94.
And it was $6.23 per ton for the ACC cost. Okay,
Hungerford paving, $89.50 per ton. Total cost of $461,251.50 with a asphalt cement cost of $623 per ton.
okay,
This one's from Pike Industries, and it's been consistent at $89.95 a ton. The asphalt cement cost was $604. Total contract, excuse me, $487,681.
okay. We have representatives here from
Pike,
Pike
yeah,
and,
Jim Hungerford, Hungerford Paving.
all right.
Joe Monte with Pike. I got a couple questions for you if you could. So, when we're bidding this, we all have to estimate our own numbers, so it doesn't
Correct.
really matter who estimates it, whoever paves it, it's gonna be consistent. It's all gonna be the same, so, when you have total numbers, it's hard to figure, apples to apples, which is why we do our unit cost. But there's also a milling cost in there. I know I discounted mine quite a bit, which could make the numbers quite a bit different. Is there any way I could get milling cost?
The milling cost?
Yep.
We can read that because that is something we added this year specifically for the Woods Hill area. Woods Hill, I have. This is FW Whitcomb, Woods Hill Road, Cold Plain is $10,000 lump sum.
The Hungerford Cold Plain is $13,662 for Hungerford paving.
I'm looking at Town Highway 3, Woods Hill Road, Cold Plain. This said lump sum $3,750, that's from Pike.
Right. So what I'm concerned about, I'm looking at Jim's number, my paving number, and my paving number. And I think if you were to take the same amount of tons, no matter who had it, my numbers or his numbers, and put the unit numbers back on, it might be closer. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what he had for total tonnage.
Yeah, that's one thing, under the grand totals, I'm looking at like the FW Whitcombs, it doesn't have the total tons, so I'd have to sit there and add that up
We don't
for each
have
of
to do
these,
it.
and it's same there. So right now, quickly, I just can't do that with, 10 line items, so that's
Okay,
something
no,
we're gonna have
that's-
to take a look at.
It would be, I would appreciate it if you took the time and just looked at all the numbers, because like I said before, one thing I've recommended in the past is to have the same unit numbers. Whoever estimates it is gonna come up with a number, but everybody estimates different, so the numbers might be different. My numbers might be different than Jim's and Wickham's, but whoever pays it, we're all gonna do the same. It's all gonna be the same amount of mix that gets laid down.
What do they mean by unit numbers?
So, go ahead, Jim.
But let me jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's say we're talking on Woods Hill Road. How many tons do we think it's gonna take? So one might say 50 and one might say 45. So instead of like me estimating 50 and then everybody using 50, that's what's causing some of this difference in how this all adds up at the end, because one could be saying more tons.
Right.
You
And
know,
that's what I worry about, if, because my mill number is so discounted, that if we both bid 100 ton, this 89.50 and 89.95 would be pretty close, because of my mill number being
Right.
discounted.
no,
that's all I care that you
I
guys
understand
look at.
fully what you're saying. The difficult thing is that nothing any of us can predict is the exact tonnage until you get out there and do it.
No,
Like
no,
the shim,
right.
the shim is a best estimate of what it's gonna take to do
Right,
it.
right, but what I'm saying is, as long as they're equated the same, you know, as long as everybody's bidding the same, you know, it's not fair if, I come in here and just discount it and say, I'm gonna do 2,000 ton, when it's really gonna take 5,000 ton, just to get a lower number,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I fully understand what you're saying. Yes, sir?
Last year, we were in this very similar predicament, and I believe I reached out to town manager this year about this.
You did.
Yeah.
I referred you to
Kevin LePan.
Kevin.
Yep. Last year, we were in this very similar situation, same exact situation. The only difference was I had a lower unit price, Pike had less tons. It was very competitive. It actually went to a special meeting later on where they made a special decision, and I believe Mr. Fournier made the call vote that it went to Pike. So I had a lower unit rate, they had less tons. This is true as fact. If you watched the minutes from last year, and Joe was there. This year I have a lower unit rate, they have lower on the milling. I reached out to the town of Swanton and said, if you recall last year, I recommend that you say the job's 4,000 tons. It doesn't really matter if it's 4,000, 3,900, 4,100. It just means 3 companies are bidding 4,000 tons. No bid form was corrected, and this year, we're the apparent low bidder. I understand you can dissect the bid form and find ways to look around it, but we would see that as a black eye if we lost last year off of a administrative or clerical meeting, and then this year we're the apparent low bidder, and it goes to a special meeting and we lose again.
Technically, it's not a low unit number. I mean, I've got the low unit number on the mill. So technically, I have a low unit number too.
Not denying.
Yeah, and one thing I'm gonna say is this is not federal contracting, so this isn't just the lowest responsible bidder that it's gonna get awarded to. The town has the ability to look at these and make a decision on which way it wants to go.
Yep.
Very interested in being fair and open in the process. That's something we gotta make sure we do.
Yep.
The milling was necessary to add, and maybe it complicates the process a little bit. So it's something I think the board members need to discuss and make the determination on how we're gonna award it. Steve?
What do you mean by milling?
The cold plane. It's another term for
Oh,
cold
okay.
plane. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yes. Yes.
Well, would you have some suggestions? I mean, we're trying to do what's best for you guys and for the town. Do you have some suggestions as to how we might
Yeah, so.
add or
So
improve this?
typically, I will do free budget quotes, okay? So I'll go around all the towns, and I came in, talked to Kevin already, measured roads with him, made some suggestions. Have one person, like myself or Jim or whoever, do a budget quote and take those numbers. I don't care if I'm bidding on his numbers, as long as they're the same. You follow me? So if he says it's gonna take 250 ton on street A, I'm okay with that. I'll bid that. You know, if it goes over, it goes over. If it's under, it's under. It's all unit price. But it should be apples to apples.
So really, the column that says tons, just have the town fill that out.
Right.
We could, and the bottom line is, it's really the unit cost per ton that's just complicated a little bit by the cold milling.
Not
This-
really.
This
Whole
year it is,
You can
yes.
put the square yards on it. It's
Yeah, I mean,
area divided by 9 is your square yards. That's how.
I mean,
every-
what it gets into an opportunity is if someone wants to bid a different way on the price per ton. Is a shimmin more expensive to do by a couple dollars per ton?
Yeah, if they wanted to do an alternate, absolutely.
Well, that's why,
But I think you're gonna have, not necessarily, I'm not saying myself, but you're gonna have upset bidders in the future if you don't have the same number for everything. I know I've been in a situation before, and I'm not saying you guys, but where I clearly had a low unit price and somebody would deliberately put in less tonnage so so the select board says, oh, he's $100,000 cheaper. You guys seem to understand that, but it happens a lot, so.
yeah, then essentially we could say we're anticipating 500 tons, give us the unit cost.
But I won't beat a dead horse. One thing I will say, like I said this last year, we've done your work, many years, and I want to keep doing your work. No matter what you guys decide, I appreciate what you've done for us in the past. With the milling job, I will bring out that we do have an 8-foot mill, which I think is important to do that mill job. If you have a small mill, you're gonna have to mill like 4 or 5 sections. And the object of a mill is to plane the road even. So the less times that you're doing the strip, the more even you're gonna get a road. So if you have 2 strips, it's gonna be pretty even. If you've got 5 strips, you'd have one like this, and so on and so forth. So I would keep that in mind when you're looking at things. We do have a full-size mill, right? And we have a real tack truck, rubber tire roller, and that's all I'm gonna say. I'll leave the decision up to you guys.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, what Joe's mentioning is we have a 4-foot mill. We also work with partners who have highway mills. This is deja vu from last year, even though I brought it to the town's attention. Yeah, we're open to doing the best possible job we can for you guys, and you know, we had a lower unit price on the paving. Yeah, we're pulling for us.
Fair enough. Okay. Do board members want to make any recommendations at this time, or do we want to evaluate a little more and then make a decision?
Yeah, I still feel, and thank you for your comments, it's helpful. I still feel there's some confusion
Okay.
on here, and I want to be as fair as we can.
Yep.
And if we're looking at just a difference in tonnage, I guess that's kind of open. I wish we were a little more consistent in how we're asking for these bids. That's my only thought. Based on what we're getting from Mr. Hungerford and from Pike. Just my thoughts.
Okay. We can set up a spreadsheet and take a look at the estimated tons per road and evaluate it, and next year there's a way to change it. It's not gonna change much because we pay as they go. They show us the slips and we pay based on the tons that are actually put down. So we have a dollar limit and we stop at that dollar limit. But I understand there's some frustration in how this goes down, and the one thing that I guess the cold planing changes it a little bit, but in the big picture the cold planing dollar figure is not that high compared to the rest of the work that's being accomplished. I guess I would like we make a comparison and send it out to all you, and then we either have a special meeting or at the next meeting we award the project.
That would work. Just more consistency, that's my only thought, Mr. Chair.
I'm happy to proofread your bid form next year if you'd like.
What's that?
I'm happy to proofread the bid form for you next year.
Well, I understand what you're all asking for. It's still, okay.
You're right, you're absolutely right. Whatever you lay down, you're gonna lay down, and that's what you're gonna pay.
That's, I mean, we could award it just on the per ton, but again, we have to take a look at who provides the bids and evaluate it. And we got 2 reputable contractors right here and a 3rd reputable contractor that have submitted bids. Now, we might get a 4th bid that's a lot cheaper. We look at it and say it's someone we know can't do the work.
Yeah.
You know, this is a case where we got 3 very reputable contractors interested in doing work for the town, which we love, but it makes it a little bit of a struggle in trying to award it. So we'll take a little more look at that and we'll give you some feedback.
That's all I
I'll
can,
let you know.
appreciate it.
Okay?
That's gonna be helpful.
What's that?
That's helpful.
I have some other RFP examples too from other towns if that would help.
Send them along. Yep, absolutely.
All right, guys.
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Old Town Business, the LVRT update is also listed under New Town Business and a change order for VHB.
Yeah.
So we might as well go to page 26 of our packet. because what we really need to do is approve a change order to finish up the design, so then we can move into the bid process for the project. Give me just a second, I've got some notes. Yeah, right here. So, on page 26 is the change order that VHB has sent to us. That's to finish the design, help with the bid process, and then visit during construction. This change order is worst case scenario. I have run it by the state project manager, and overall they're comfortable with it. Our share out of our ARPA funds would be 20% or $2,531. We had anticipated possible increase in design when we went for additional funds. So we had a total of 60,000 estimated for design.
So your page is not numbered? Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry about that. You found it?
I think so.
Okay.
Sorry, Andrew.
No, that's fine. You wanna make sure you have the information. So, in putting together all the project costs, we upped it to 60,000 for design. This puts it at 62,900, which is reasonable. The design effort is consistent with the estimated construction cost. Right now, the estimated construction cost is around $570,000. So this is a little over 10% for design for a project of this magnitude. 10% is 12% is not unreasonable. So I'd like you to take a look, and if you're comfortable, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the change order so we can finish this up. One thing I will say, if we need additional funds at the end, when we get our construction bids in, the state says they have additional money, we would have to put in the 20%, but there is additional funds available. When we go out to bid, probably gonna look at 2 or 3 items on the project, and we call them alternate bid items, so that if the bids come in high, there may be, like the picnic tables, they're pretty substantial picnic tables, that we could save some money if we needed to when we go for the bid. So we got some other options to protect the bid, but right now this is where we're at. We've got this change order that needs to be addressed.
You recommend we move forward with those numbers, Mr. Chair?
I do.
I'd make the motion that
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the change order from VHB for the design for the project. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Alright.
Aye, opposed, so moved. Okay, Swanton Hill update. Last week, we met with one of the 2 landowners. They are comfortable with us moving forward with the project. What that does is, the effect on their property is just the southwest corner. It's a very small piece. The other landowner, they won't be back in the area till late May, and we're gonna schedule a meeting to meet with them in late May. Looking at this project in detail, there's issues with possible wetlands. There is, we don't think there's gonna be a need for a stormwater permit. We gotta go through the process and at least discuss it with the state. And then there's the whole engineering piece of it. So in the packet, there is an estimate right now from East Engineering. And I had some questions, so I spoke with Tyler about his proposal. And in it, if you look at it, it talks about the surveying that needs to be done. And all it says is the town is gonna be billed on the surveying. So besides Tyler's fee, there is another $5,000 to $7,000 in survey fee that we might see. So the engineering on this project could could add up to a fair chunk of change. Let me get to that. So he has 15,000 lump sum, that's his cost to design it. It actually would be more if we weren't doing the work in-house, because he would have to prepare a whole spec book and stuff, and that doesn't need to be done. Right away in the easement, if he has to do some work on that, he would charge hourly. He has nothing listed for the bid phase. And then construction services would be 125 hourly. We would probably need him to visit the job site 2 or 3 times during the project and have him take a look and give us any input if we're doing this work in-house, so.
So what do you think if he has to visit it 2 or 3 times? Is that 3-4 hours a visit?
Yes, yeah, travel time and then a couple hours on site. Yeah, I would say 4 or 5 hours per visit.
4 hours.
So, the one thing we don't really need to do yet is necessarily approve this. And then the other thing I wanna make sure the board is comfortable with is, using East Engineering. They've done work for us and they've done a very nice job. And I'm very comfortable working with East Engineering, but I wanna make sure the board is, until we talk to the landowner and they're comfortable with this going through, we don't really need to start the design yet. But I wanna get the conversation started, regarding it.
Are we gonna get any state help on this unit, Brian, or?
Unlikely.
The class of the road.
The class of the road. So I've asked repeatedly, and it's not, it's a class 3. I don't get the class.
Yeah, it would not be a class 2, it would be a class
That
3.
has to be a class 2 road to be able to qualify for state aid, so it's unlikely that we can get it.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to submit a grant project. One thing I'll bring up, Tyler last June, when you folks as a board had him go up and take a look at the job, he had estimated design at around 25,000 and then legalist easements at 5,000, so he had 30,000 listed, and then bid and construction, he had another 20,000. He had 50,000 estimated for total engineering. This would be significantly less because we're gonna do the project in-house, but that was what he had provided to the town previously.
Where's the money coming from for this,
We put in, there's 160,000,
in the budget?
yes, for highway improvement.
Okay.
That was the one we discussed, that we'd probably do it over 2 years.
Yeah.
If we gotta jump on it and we're able to do it this year, we might borrow the money and then pay for it, the second half of it, but, there's 160,000. Under engineering specific, we only had 2,000 budgeted, but this was a road improvement, and that Swanton Hill was that line item, the main part of that line item. I think what, if the board is okay with it and comfortable with East Engineering, maybe we get approval contingent upon successful discussion with the landowner at the end of the month.
Makes sense. So move, looking for a motion?
Yes.
So move.
Do I hear a second? Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. 4th Street property update.
I included the recent correspondence from the engineering firm that they completed their field work, the utility location soil sampling survey, and they recently received that lab data, and they are on track for sending the report by the 27th of this month. They may be able to provide the preliminary results by the end of next week, which would mean this week, if that helps once they have the data. So we're looking forward to getting some preliminary report. So that's what I see.
That'll be very good to see that and figure out what the next steps are. Any questions, folks?
Just like here in progress.
Okay. Brooklyn Street culvert, wetlands coordinator is gonna be up in the area on the 22nd of this month. So until we get a determination of whether we gotta go for a wetlands permit, we really can't move forward. So hopefully by the end of the month, we'll know what we're doing regarding that project. Sewer service for Southern Growth Center.
Okay, I've talked with Tim Smith. He was going to check with Marty Manahan, but now when I checked with Tim, he's having a meeting on several issues, but this will be one of them with Dominic Cloud later this week, and then he'll get back to us. So that's it.
Okay. Newtown business, proposal by Swanton Fire Department for construction of a dry hydrant at the Lee and Babby Fishing Access on St. Albans Road.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Marty. Hi. You probably saw information, the fire department is being proactive and pursuing a dry hydrant at the Leon Babby Fishing Access on Johns Bridge. So we'd be applying for a grant, and jump in anytime you want me to stop talking. We'll be applying for a grant, and one of the stipulations is that there would need to be year-round maintenance at the site of the dry hydrant, which there is not now. So that's why we're here. We're seeking support from the town to maintain that access through the winter as a part of the plowing.
We don't plow the highway there.
No.
No.
And the state does not plow that access. None of they advertise on the website, they don't plow any of their accesses.
Okay, so this is where you go over the bridge and then you take the left.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they may have asked, if I may, ask the chief, but for the people, are gonna watch this on YouTube, and maybe members of the board, could you explain what a dry hydrant is?
All right, so a dry hydrant is a hydrant that's located in a stagnant water or moving water source such as a lake or river. There is no pressure. Essentially, we hook up to it with our truck, and it's a giant straw. It allows us easy access to an abundance of water supply without having to tag the hydrant system itself. Swanton has two others, one by the VFW and one out Lakewood Drive, which have both been flushed and maintained this year as well. The reason for the dry hydrant is this would be an enhancement along with the hydrants in the village. I didn't make enough copies of that because
They all have it.
Yeah.
this one as well.
No, they don't.
You want to hand that one around? I've done an assessment of fire protection in the town, and essentially Route 7, BB Road, parts of Woods Hill, and Route 7 all the way to Fawn Junction, we come back to the village hydrant for water supply. That's great. But to enhance how we do things is that the best hydrant to do that with is the one directly across from the Border Patrol Station. The old Border Patrol Station, it's on the right-hand side, it's opposite the Border Patrol Station. It's a good hydrant, good for filling tankers. If that hydrant was to fail, the ones on Grand Ave are only 4 to 6 inch, so not ideal for filling tankers. I wouldn't be doing that homeowner any justice by tagging those. The next set of hydrants we would go to are 12-inch mains on Bushy Street. They'll be great, good for filling tankers. Problem with Bushy Street, it's a school zone. 2 o'clock in the morning, that's not a big deal. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you probably don't want 8 pieces of apparatus going through a bus center. So having the dry hydrant in place and having it located on the other side of the bridge will allow us access to a substantial amount of water without having to deal with the traffic and the congestion sometimes the village has. Interesting, PD said that in 18 days he did 41,000 vehicles. I'll just crunch the numbers real quick. That's 94 cars an hour on Grand Ave. So having us on Grand Ave probably isn't gonna be good. We can shut it down, but that's not ideal. So having us off the main road in a safe location, which is good for us and good for the community in order to perform our function and re-entering the traffic is more ideal than the hydrants that are in place currently. So that's the proposal.
Who owns the access? The state? Do they have issues with us if we were to go do snow removal?
No,
No?
no, they have invited us to file an 1111 access permit, right-of-way permit for the property, and we've also connected with Fish and Wildlife because they have a memorandum of understanding with the Agency of Transportation. So both of them would have to approve that.
Okay, so that's approval you would seek.
Yes.
Who's gonna own the straw, as you call it, chief?
We would maintain it.
You maintain it, okay.
We would maintain it, we test it twice a year. If there was a problem with it, we would look to fix it and have it up and running. It really would serve that section of town pretty good to have that redundancy and enhancement.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention, by the way.
Do all the dry hydrants get exercised twice a year, like regularly?
They weren't last year, and I'll take responsibility for that as the assistant, but they will going forward, yes. I personally went out and took care of the one on Lakewood Drive. Apologies, it was HD. Campbell had reached out to me and was concerned about it, so, yep, they will be maintained, they'll be tested, flow tested. And they actually work really good, because we live in the world of, like, we got hydrants, we're fine. When the hydrant breaks, you're kind of in that scramble mode of what's next. Having a dry hydrant right there at that location is going to really be an asset for the area.
You
Yeah.
took some great pictures if you want to hand
I just kind of give a quick overview of what it looks like. First batch of pictures of what it looks like with us on Grand Ave.
I know what they will.
Oh, yeah.
Brian's got more experience than I do, actually. The second batch of pictures of what it looks like with us down at the dry hydrant. As you can see,
So, like, oh, does each person get?
it's two per.
So each person gets their own?
There.
The first set of pictures of what it looks like with us on Grand Ave. It's not ideal for us, it's not safe for the members, it's not safe for our mutual aid, and it's really less than ideal for the people driving through. Obviously, if there was a fire on Grand Ave, that's a situation, but if there's a fire in the town and we're using that location, we really don't want to impact a densely populated area as much as possible. Versus the second batch of pictures shows you what it would look like with us down at the dry hydrant. It's a simulation of what it would look like with one pumper, two tankers in.
Now, since the reservoir is up off of the Donaldson Road, was there any thought into putting a hydrant or anything and just attaching it to that main line that comes from the reservoir and cutting off
There's
everything?
not, but that's a really good idea, and I can bring up to the village and ask them, because
Cut off everything up in that area.
Yep, that's actually a really good idea. So,
From a, without running it by the highway foreman yet, from my perspective as the road commissioner, I think it's something we could maintain. It just wouldn't get the same priority as the roads. You know, it would be something several hours later, or maybe the next day would get down there and clean it up as they're doing the other cleanup.
absolutely.
That would be the way that we would look at that, I think, unless the board directed otherwise, but it would get everything clean for the safe vehicle traffic and then pick that up after, yep.
Absolutely, and we totally understand that, and when I was talking to the officers about this, the fire department, one of the expressions was, it doesn't have to be parking lot pristine, just enough for them to get to the dry hydrant, and we all we need, so a couple quick swipes and, mission accomplished.
And obviously, if there was an actual fire and we knew, we had to get somebody there, we would do that as well, but to clear it, if it wasn't cleared, I think it's something that could be done without a large impact on the highway.
Is this something that is at our board because it's in the town?
We're looking for the help with the plowing and the fact that it's in the town.
You say help, you want us to maintain it all the time, or every other year we maintain it and maybe keep it plowed or something like that, or is this forever?
I think that the plowing, we would need your help every year. I've had a couple conversations with Bill about us helping out, and he hasn't given me an answer about that yet. So. But again, just a couple quick swipes and it would be clear.
That's an interesting thought, and I think what kind of, as I was going through this, is when this really would mainly service the town residents.
Yes.
Most of the village with the hydrant system and what you have in place is, but, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, it's a great thought, Steve.
Yeah, this side of the town is kind of lacking. The other side of the town over on like middle roads like that actually has water lines that go through.
Correct.
So that's actually really convenient over there, whereas Woods Hill and all that area, like you were saying, is susceptible for delay and stuff.
It's one of these things, we put it in, hopefully we never use it,
Yes, sir.
and we just test it yearly and we move on, but
Yes, sir.
from board's perspective,
I think it's incredibly important to provide additional protection in that area.
anybody wanna make a motion? And
I'll make a
it's,
motion.
I mean, that is what I heard, the request is whether or not we would do snow removal.
Correct.
And that's after we get approval from the state to do that.
Right, we'll get approval from the state and then we would need to get the grant
Right.
secured as well.
Is
We're
that-
gonna wait and budget it.
Is that grant that you have kind of your scope on there, is that for 100% funding?
No, there's a 25% match, but it can be in-kind labor and
So that's-
equipment.
So that's why they're also looking for our highway crew to assist the village crew, and that would count toward that 25%, putting it in.
Yeah. Your excavator would put it in.
Yeah,
It's actually a very simple process.
it is.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion
What is the motion?
to have the town maintain the access.
Snow removal at the exit.
Snow, yes.
Do we hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second for the town to do the snow removal at where the fire department is proposing to put in a dry hydrant. Any further discussion?
Yeah, they're looking to us for plans in kind. So would your motion include our providing some in-kind services, or just
For the installation.
For the
the
installation.
installation?
We can add that. I know we
Yeah.
do that, for other stuff as well, so
Yeah.
yeah, let's add it and
Yeah,
make it part of the
I'll-
motion.
That way we're covered, you move forward.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
so motion's been made and amended to add the, in-kind work of installation of the dry hydrant, if we get this, successful, grant. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Again,
Thank you very much.
If you want to stay with the next one, it's up to you. We're renaming a street, actually putting a name on the street.
Yeah, I'll
It's for
stay.
911.
Yep,
so,
I'll take.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank you.
now, we had a couple folks, were they in for January? I thought maybe they're here for the street naming. What's that?
The Hubbards?
What are they doing
I don't know. They left, so
Okay.
Maybe the discussion of sewer in the Southern Growth District?
maybe. That could have been.
Okay. All right, so we're on to 6B, naming streets off from the Highgate Road.
This has been my little
Christina will
project.
explain that.
And so it came to our attention that on Old Highgate Road, there is 7 double wides over the embankment that have Highgate Road addresses. And the problem with them is the E911 addresses, the town addresses, and Google addresses, none of them match. God forbid they have an emergency down there, they're in trouble. So I have been working with Tyler at E911 in his suggestion, because the E911 rules are anything with 3 homes or more needs to be a street. He has given me 2 options. You will see one. The first thing is we need to decide when you come off Highgate Road, do you want to go to the left first or the right first? Because that will affect how they're numbered. And then we need to give each branch, because there's 3 homes on one side, 4 on the other, a street name. So I sent all 7 landowners a letter, told them that we needed to do this. I got 1 response via email, 1 response via phone call, and 1 gentleman came in for the meeting that I had scheduled. And the 6 are listed, the street names that they gave. The first one being Deerfield Drive. Fairfield does have a Deerfield Lane, but it is not a St. Albans address, so it would not, because some of Swanton has St. Albans addresses. Meadowview Lane would not work because of Meadow Drive and Mountain View Drive, they're too close. And Wilderness Way. So we are proposing Deerfield Drive and Wilderness Way, if that is what you would like. But what I need also.
We have to name 2 streets?
You have to have 2 streets, and we spoke with Kevin Lohan, and his suggestion is that we go to the left first, because he needs to sign it. It needs to be signed so that somebody coming up Highgate Road knows those roads are there. And he suggested that we do that first, and he would put a sign on each side. Does that make sense?
So like the left side, like Deerfield, and then the right side, and then you number it, right?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, or.
One, whatever you want to number, right?
So one of the people did come, that came to the meeting, lives to the left, and he would like to be Wilderness Way.
Christina, which side is left and which side is right? I have
Is it the
left.
dark line is left and
Oh, very good, I'm sorry. So this would be to the right, see the yellow keeps going that way, so this would be to the right.
Yep.
So what we're proposing would be to the right would be Deerfield,
Okay.
to the left would be Meadowview.
Okay.
And this is the
Would
one.
be Wilderness Way.
Wilderness, I'm sorry, Wilderness.
Yeah.
This is the one that Kevin Lopan would suggest would be going with to the left first.
Okay. What do you mean, why would we go to the left first? Just, I don't understand.
I don't either.
Okay.
That's the one he prefers to go with.
And you already figured out the numbers to?
Yeah, the numbers are on there. So when I'm renumbering these, I always ask Tyler how he would number them, because twice I've numbered them and he didn't like them, and I don't like to tell people they've changed their address twice.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
So if I'm driving Highgate Road,
You know where Glen Ridge is?
no,
heading
no,
towards
no,
Hi-
no, 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 let me, if I'm driving Highgate Road, what do I see when I want to turn into this area? Cause we've got 2 new roads going in there.
Right,
Yeah, so
right now you
Kevin
don't see
said,
any.
No, but what would I see?
a street sign,
name for
Wilderness.
Wilderness Way.
Okay, so you go on Wilderness Way and then
And
you
then
would
Right
turn
Right by
to
their
the,
mailboxes, there's gonna be a Deerfield
And there'll be a deer.
which one's to the left?
Wilderness.
Okay, so that's, so it's gonna say Wilderness Way off from 207. Okay, and then when you get to that short little distance,
Right.
Wilderness
Which you
Way,
can see right from
Yeah.
Highgate Road.
Okay.
Then you can take the right and go to Deerfield.
okay,
Now, that sounds confusing, it is. However, if you go to the 911 responder map, so when you call 911, I can look at that in my office,
Yeah.
and it'll be marked, so the dispatcher can tell
Yeah.
where they have to go. And right now, they won't know because
No.
it's Highgate Road.
Well, perfect, for
Where is it?
instance, 205 brings you down the
do you need
road.
to see this?
I'll get a copy on it.
Okay. So then the numbering, Tyler's looked at it and he's comfortable
He's
with it?
given me, so the 113, 55, 19, those are numbers Tyler gave me. What changes it is depending on which way we go in, that's why you had to choose. So if you go to Wilderness, you went to the left to Wilderness, then they would be 130, well, they'd be 22, 82, and 132 Wilderness, and then 15, 19, 55, and 13. If you went the other way, see, the numbers are different.
I'm comfortable with that second sheet here,
Yeah.
where
Me
you've
too.
got the
Can
number
you tell me
Yeah.
which is north?
I
Up
think
on your
the
paper.
top.
So
Yeah.
this is,
That's
just
Yeah.
way it is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep,
All right, thanks.
So you're looking for a motion to name the
Wilderness.
left side, Wilderness Way, the right side, Deerfield Drive.
Deerfield Lane, I think it was, right?
Drive.
Deerfield Drive.
Okay, Drive,
So
yes.
that's, and then, and number accordingly?
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Did- oh, okay, he's made the motion, do I get the second?
I'll second it, I have a question. Do we maintain that road now, Brian?
No,
Okay.
No, it's
Thank you.
private. He asked
Okay,
if
so
we were
motion's been made and seconded, is there any further discussion? And I've got the question, and so when I look at this, what I call the black road, cause this is black and white, that is gonna be Wilderness Way,
Yes,
the road to the north,
yes,
okay. And then Deerfield Drive is the road to the south, the white one on here.
yep.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Very
Thank you.
good.
This was an error that was made, I feel,
It should have been done
when
when
it
it
was
was developed,
permitted
it
way
should have
back,
never.
when it was developed. And so anyways, we're just part of the saga of trying to correct
The
911.
never-ending 911, yes.
That's right.
Who's the developer up here, Brian?
I don't know.
It was D&H, I think.
I think it was D&H way back.
That's what the guy
Oh,
said.
really?
I think those are the date, are those the dates of the ad, are there the small little numbers on there, is those the dates that they
No,
were?
that's their
The old
current
one.
home now, number.
Gotcha.
So 1991 Highgate
Oh,
Road.
now I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
They were putting their own.
Going door to door, I never knew over there. So, yeah, so I could see,
Community.
I almost was gonna ask the fire chief if I could go up on a Monday night and ask one of his drivers to take a truck and let's go find this address, and I don't think they would find it.
That wouldn't have been an obvious one for us, no.
Right, so
It's
that's why we
dangerous.
gotta fix it.
Yeah.
So
No.
it'll be fixed
Glad it
in
was
30
caught.
days.
30 days, because I'll give them letters,
Yeah.
and they have 30 days to change all of their address, and I send them a final letter.
Very good.
All right. So now we're on to community and economic development.
I'll send you the.
Do we have anything, Brian, for that?
Pardon me?
Community and economic
No,
development?
it's something I'm working on, but I just way too early at this point.
Okay, any other necessary business?
We had the appointment to the rec commission
Okay,
in your packet, toward the very end of your packet, which now I've messed mine up. But anyways, there's a letter, email from Betsy, and then there was a forwarded email from Mr. Ron Underwood, who would like to be considered in the Recreation Board, recommends him for the appointment to the Rec Commission.
okay. Entertain a motion?
I'll make that motion, glad to have him on board. Yep.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded
Abstain.
to appoint, Mr., let me find it here, Ron Underwood to the Swanton Recreation Commission, Board of Directors.
This
Motion
will
been
be
made,
for how many years?
that's a question I don't,
Remainder of that.
The remainder
Yeah.
of the seat, which is, we reappoint them every year on the
Every year.
I
select board.
realize that, but for the remainder of the year.
Of the year.
Yeah,
Right,
every-
okay. Good.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye. Aye.
I abstain.
Okay, so moved. Correspondence,
Don't have any.
all right, public comment. Hearing none, upcoming events, take it away.
May 15th, 2024, the Planning Commission will meet here in the town offices at 6:30 PM. May 21st, 2024 will be a regular select board meeting here at 6 PM at the town offices. May 23rd, 2024 will be a DRB meeting at 6 PM in the town offices. May 25th, 2024, Flags for Veterans will be set up at 9 AM. Please meet at the town offices. May 27th, 2024 is Memorial Day. The town offices and operations will be closed. In addition to those community events is the Heritage Festival at the Rec Department, May 25th and 6th. There's also the Memorial Day Parade, May 27th, 2024 at 2 PM down Grand Avenue. Also, it is Little League season, and there are Little League games every night at Swanton Recreation. If you're looking to get your baseball or softball fill in, please stop on by.
All right. Executive session,
Yeah, I've got two quick things.
Yeah, just
Okay.
before we close, I'd just like to make a comment. There's a lot of excitement right now in the village with the restaurant and the bakery. There was some, I guess there was a flower sale down in the square over the weekend. That's really helped, really healthy. I mean, I'm not a social media reader, as you all know, but boy, there's some positive stuff coming through there, which is usually not all positive. So, great excitement.
thanks for bringing that up,
in this
and
community.
when that restaurant opens, I think we're gonna have one meeting there. We will warn it, and we will meet there, and we won't conduct any business other than the same place.
And we will resume there for drinks.
There we go.
Perfect.
All right, thank you, Steve. Executive session,
So I move that we find that we enter executive session for the select board to receive confidential personnel and real estate information for which the premature disclosure to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
Yep, roll call vote, Steve?
Oh, I'm okay with that.
Cody? Yes for me,
Yes.
okay.
I'm doing a roll call vote in just a second.
Oh, yeah.
And then I move that based on our just made findings that premature disclosure would place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage, we enter executive session.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and second, Steve, roll call?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes for me?
Yes.
Yes from Nicole, alright, we're now in executive session at 7:10. Alright, it's now 7:31, do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
Come out of executive session?
Correct.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to come out of executive session. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? So moved. Alright, do I hear another motion?
I'll make a motion to make Mr. Pratt the consulting assessor.
Do I
We're
hear
gonna
a-
create a new position, that's what
Right.
you're saying,
Perfect.
Cody, yeah.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Now, this does, will that expire when Mr. Pratt finally?
Yes.
It will.
Yeah.
So this is just gonna be
Temporary.
temporary, okay.
Temporary for the transition and then they'll go back to 3 being voted, right? Is what
Right.
the intent is.
Right.
Okay, good.
Yep. Any further, did we get a second on
Not
that?
yet.
No,
Alright, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion been made and second to create a position consultant assessor for Mr. Pratt during the transition. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so moved.
Good.
Mr. Cheney, anything?
I don't know, I thought your meeting started at 7, I was a little tardy, so.
Oh, okay, cause
All the hours have changed late.
alright, we're just about ready to adjourn, but I thought I'd give you that opportunity.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair, could I, before we adjourn, could I just ask, just to say something quickly?
Yep,
Just so that the viewers and the public will know what's going on, as we know that Tanya submitted her resignation as the assistant clerk and treasurer. To be able to maintain the office hours of which pretty much they are now presently, and by state law, there has to be either the clerk or the assistant clerk present when the vault is open. Kathy, the town clerk, has appointed Christina Candles and myself as interim assistant clerks. This will we'd be able to keep the vault open so attorneys can do title work and members in this, the rest of the staff in this office has the vault open, because it's very hard to do any of our work with that vault closed.
So will you have to leave your office, one of you, and be up front?
Yeah.
Can you function that way?
Christina's got a new computer, which is a laptop, so she can just take it up there with her, so that's, works out. And then the situation will be on a Friday morning. Christina doesn't come in until 8 o'clock, but I'm here at 7 o'clock and I just sit up there for an hour, it's not a problem.
So then Christina would stay all day up front?
No, she'd leave at 4 o'clock, I can go back at 4 o'clock and sit there, yeah. Should work out. There may be times, and we would notify people that we're not able to open the office quite on time, but we will put that out, and also let the attorneys know that the office won't open on a particular day until 8 o'clock. But no, our intention is to have very limited impact on the hours that we're open.
I would like to see Friday 8 to 4 for the clerk. I mean, to me, it's just less disruptive to you.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know,
Does that
do we get
suit
that
you?
many people from 7 to 8?
Depends on the day. I think one day isn't gonna hurt anything if you do 8 to 4.
That's what I'd like to see, that way Brian
You wanna
doesn't
do
have to,
that, then,
On Friday,
You're
we'll amend
the-
it to 8 to 4.
yeah.
until the position's
Yeah.
filled and we're comfortable,
Yeah.
I mean,
We can't forget we're in the service business,
right.
you know, but hours do dictate
Yeah.
attendance, so.
But in any case, well, we can do that.
No, we can do that.
That,
That's
and
just a
there's-
recommendation, I mean, if everyone's comfortable with
But
it.
just to go one step further, how long are we gonna do this? Because it is, your good graciousness, going up front and doing whatever you
Yeah.
do, but it can't continue.
Right,
it's
Well,
gonna
as
be
soon
a,
as we get somebody.
oh, even with that, say that we go 60 days, we still don't have a candidate. What do we do then? This can't go on indefinitely, that's my concern.
Yeah,
Because you guys have your jobs to do
Right.
also.
yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to sit down and talk about that in 60,
Well, I'd wait
you know.
until the 60 days are up, if that's what you're looking at, because you don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
I'm not looking at that, I'm just saying, what if we go 60 days, or whatever, when do we revisit this, only to take, we got some continuity here naturally,
Mhm.
and we wanna make sure we give good service
Right.
to the taxpayers, or whoever comes in here.
You know, that's, I'd say if, you know, we're gonna have to rerun the ad, certainly, and step up.
It's been in the paper 4 times so far.
Yeah, and we'll have to step up, you know, recruiting efforts. We've thought of some people and asked some people, but they're not interested.
I think we review it, it's something we
Yeah.
discuss at our meetings, if, what is the impact and how do we adjust it if it is an impact.
Are you able to put in more time?
You mean over my 40 hours?
Yeah.
Not on Friday, I can't.
Okay, so,
Now,
any,
there will be some services that won't be available on, and that's, if somebody comes in to get something notarized, I'm no longer notary, there's no other notary in the office, so, but there's other notaries in town. We can give out marriage license applications and whatnot, but we can't issue a marriage license yet, because we don't know how to do it, so. If somebody comes in with a license, I can marry them.
Well, it's a rarity
Okay.
that someone, I mean, usually they're here,
Yeah.
anyone who's getting married is here getting their license, unless they want to get married on the spot like we had today. But, we,
Do a shot.
most people are getting
Is it a
married on
shotgun
Saturday, and
ball?
they come in the 30 or 60 days before. It's only the ones who come in and want to get married 5 minutes from now, which is pretty much it today.
Yeah, so we just ask people's patience and understanding, we'll
Sure.
work through it, but.
Yep.
And I posted that too, that we'll have limited services and
Yeah.
hours on Friday.
alright, so any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state aye.
Right?
Aye. Alright,
That comes with extra compensation, is that correct?
Yeah.
motion to adjourn,
I'll move.
I'll second.
motion been made second to adjourn, any other discussion? All those in favor state aye. Aye, opposed, so moved, thank you everybody.